Every morning at exactly 7:30, the bell above the diner door jingled, and an old man shuffled in, always in the same faded gray coat, his hands trembling slightly as he held onto his cane. His name was Mr. Allen. He'd sit at the far corner booth, near the window where the sunlight hit just right. "Morning, sweetheart," he'd say with a smile that seemed to hide years of stories. The waitress, Sarah, had worked the morning shift at Maplewood Diner for years. Life hadn't been kind to her. Single mom, late rent, and a car that broke down more often than it ran. But she never let that show. She always greeted Mr. Allen with warmth, even when tips were slow and her feet ached. He always ordered the same thing: black coffee, 2 eggs sunny side up, and toast with strawberry jam. But what made Sarah notice him wasn't his order. It was how little he ate. Sometimes he'd just sip his coffee and push the food around his plate. One morning, she slipped an extra pancake onto his plate and said, "It's on the house, Mr. Allen." He smiled softly. "You're a kind soul, Sarah. Not many like you left." She didn't know why his words made her chest tighten. Maybe because no one had said something kind to her in a long time. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Every morning she'd see him there. Sometimes they talked about the weather, sometimes about her little boy, Jake. She never asked where he lived or why he came alone. She just knew he looked forward to those mornings as much as she did. Then one Monday morning, Mr. Allen didn't come. Sarah waited all day, watching the door, but the bell never jingled. The next day, still no sign of him. A week passed, then 2. She assumed the worst, but didn't have the heart to ask around. Until one morning, the diner door opened, and 4 men in suits walked in. Behind them were 2 bodyguards. The entire diner went silent. "Is there a Sarah Miller here?" one of the lawyers asked. Sarah froze, wiping her hands on her apron. "That's me," she said nervously. The man opened a leather folder. "We represent the estate of Mr. Allen Whitmore." Sarah blinked. "Estate?" He nodded. "Mr. Whitmore passed away 3 weeks ago. Before he did, he left very specific instructions for us to find you." Her throat went dry. "Me? Why?" The lawyer smiled faintly. "Because you were the only person who treated him like a human being." He handed her an envelope. Inside was a letter written in shaky handwriting. "Dear Sarah, you never knew who I really was, and I liked it that way. I spent most of my life surrounded by people who cared only about my money. But you gave me something no one else did. Kindness without expecting anything in return. I've set up a trust fund in your name and your son's. Use it to build the life you deserve. Maybe even buy that little bakery you always talk about. Thank you for making an old man feel human again. Allen Whitmore." Tears rolled down Sarah's cheeks as the lawyer continued. "He also left you this." They led her outside, where a shiny white SUV was parked, with a ribbon tied around it. The back seat had a car seat already installed, a detail that made her heart break all over again. People from the diner came outside, whispering in disbelief. Sarah clutched the letter to her chest. He remembered everything," she whispered. That day, Sarah didn't just receive money. She received proof that kindness still mattered, that even the smallest gestures could change someone's world. A month later, the old Maplewood Diner sign came down, replaced by a new one that read, "Allen's Place, where kindness is served daily." And every morning at 7:30, Sarah would brew a fresh cup of black coffee and place it on the corner table by the window, right where the sunlight hit just right. For Mr. Allen. Weeks passed, but Sarah still found herself glancing toward that corner booth every morning, half expecting Mr. Allen to shuffle in with his gentle smile and soft, "Morning, sweetheart." His absence left an emptiness she couldn't explain, like a song cut short before the last note. She'd started using the money carefully, paid off her debts, fixed her car, and finally moved into a small apartment with her son, Jake. But the biggest change was the dream she'd almost forgotten. Her bakery. She named it Allen's Place, just like the diner sign now said, and designed it with the same warmth she once offered him every morning. One quiet afternoon, as she arranged fresh pastries in the display, a man in his 30s walked in. He wore a simple suit, no bodyguards this time, just a tired look in his eyes. "You must be Sarah," he said softly. She nodded. "Yes, can I help you?" He smiled. "I'm David Whitmore, Alan's grandson." For a moment, she didn't know what to say. He reached into his coat pocket and handed her a small, worn-out notebook. "My grandfather kept this. He wrote about you, about how you were the only reason he still believed there was good left in people." Sarah opened the notebook, her hands trembling. Each page was filled with short notes, little memories from their mornings together. "She gave me pancakes again today. Said it was on the house. I think she knew I hadn't eaten dinner last night." Her eyes filled with tears. "He was special," she whispered. David nodded. "He was lonely after my grandmother passed. But because of you," he smiled again. "Thank you for giving him that." When David left, Sarah placed the notebook on a small shelf near the counter, beside a framed photo of Mr. Allen she'd found in an old newspaper article. Every customer who walked in could see it, a reminder that kindness could ripple through time, touching lives long after the moment had passed. Years later, Allen's place became more than a bakery. It became a haven, where struggling strangers found warmth, where tired souls found a smile, and where every cup of coffee came with a quiet promise that someone still cared. And every morning, just as the sun broke through the window, Sarah still poured a cup of black coffee and placed it at the corner table, not because she expected him to return, but because she knew somehow he never really left.